Hello and welcome. In this video I'm going to complete a series of tasks for quality of service on OcNOS devices. The topology that I'm using is a very simple topology in which 4 routers are lined up with each other, and you can see that all of them of course have reachability to each other completely. Now the underlying protocol and the type of configuration is not going to be important for our case. What we are trying to do in this topology is just to make sure that the quality of service features are enabled correctly and working just fine. In a previous video, what I have done is I have just marked all the traffic that comes from router 1 on router 2 as CS1, and I have just did it on this interface. Now what I'm going to do is to say the traffic that I'm receiving is going to be policed and then sent inside my service provider network. In my case, what I'm going to do is to police the traffic to a very low amount of let's say, bandwidth. I'm not going to go super crazy with that, but in reality, of course, you are going to go with good numbers. For example, maybe the traffic that comes from ABC is going to be policed to something like 100 megabit per second. But here, because I don't really have a traffic generator, what I'm going to do is to just show you that policing is going to be enabled on both inward and outward, or let's say ingress interface or egress interface. So let's do this. Let's say that the traffic that we have marked as CS1 now should be policed. So for that, what I'm going to do is to go to router 2. Previously, if I showed you show run, and I'm going to say begin from policy map, you can see that this is the policy map that I have created. And in this policy map, of course, I don't have any specific match because the class which I'm using is just class default. That's okay. But I have just created this DHCP value as CS1. And in verification, I showed you that CS1 is marked there. Now I'm going to match this one on the egress interface, and I'm going to police this traffic to some low value. So let's go and create a new policy map here. So I'm going to say policy map, or let's say that I'm going to create a class map first of all. Class map, and that's going to be CS1. That's the name of that. And let's say that class map is of type QoS. Okay, so under this, what I'm going to say is to match something, and you can see that matches are a lot, and specifically in this case, I'm just matching DHCP. Match DHCP, I'm going to say that was CS1. Hit enter, and I'm going to have this class map. Now, I did not do anything specific about, configuring this class map with match all or match any, because I have only one line and it doesn't really matter which one is going to be there. Both of them are going to be the same here. But in case you have multiple matches inside the same class map, you need to make sure that that type of matching is going to be inclusive, or one of them is going to be enough. In that case, for example, or is going to be better. But if you want to have all those matches, then you need to go with match all, which is the default. Okay, so I'm going to say exit this class map. Then I'm going to create a policy map, and the policy map is going to be of type QoS again. And the name is going to be police. And then what I'm going to say is class. The class was CS1. I can have multiple classes under this police, but here, of course, there is just one. And what I'm going to say is police, and after that, you can see that we have a CIR, which is the committed information rate. And it could start from as low as 22 kilobit per second, and it can go up to 2 terabytes per second. Or I can go with percentage. I can say, for example, whatever the bandwidth is, I'm going to allocate this amount of that, this percentage of that to this specific traffic. And if I go with percentage, So I can just start from 1% up to 100%. Let's say, for example, in this case, I'm going to allocate something like 10% of my bandwidth to this specific traffic. And then, of course, I have BC and BE. I'm not going to give it any value, but in case you don't do it, that's going to be the lowest value, which is 1 kilobit per second for BC and 1 kilobit per second for BE. Oh, that's going to be enough. And finally, what I'm going to do is to go to the exit interface, which is going to be XC4.152, which is going to be connected to this VLAN, and then apply that. So I'm going to say interface XC4.152, and under this, I'm going to say service policy of type QoS is going to be output, and the name is police. Okay, so that is this. Now again, some hardware profiles might be necessary. I have not done anything, but I'm going to commit the configuration in case I receive an error. Then I'm going to read the error, and I will know which profile is going to be necessary for this. Why I'm doing this? Because most of the time you don't really know what kind of profile is going to be suitable for this type of policing, or let's say generic QoS setting that you are doing here. So what I'm going to say is to say commit, and then read the error message, which is very clear. As a matter of fact, it says that you should enable hardware profile filter egress QoS policer extended. That is exactly what I'm trying to do here. And after that, then I'm going to be able to run this traffic. So I'm going to say hardware profile filter, and then we have egress. And for egress, again, we have different options. If I just press question mark, you can see that it says QoS extended policer is here, one of them. We have to L2 extended for L2 type of traffic. And we have, let's say, IPv6 destinations as well in here. But in this case, as you see, we are going to go with this one. Also, there is egress QoS policer, which is suitable for, as you can see, for lag interfaces. But this one, of course, is going to be okay. And then I'm going to say enable and hit enter, and then say commit. With this, we're going to receive another error that says this filter group is already enabled, which means that right now we might be kind of conflicting with some other hardware profiles. We need to just check that. In this case, it says enable hardware profile statistics exit ingress policer. This one, again, because we have just enabled QoS statistics, is necessary. So you see that just by checking the errors, you can easily understand what you really need to have, and then everything should be fine. So I'm going to say commit, and this time I have no problem. Okay, now that I have done this, I'm going to end and save the configuration. Then I'm going to start generating the traffic from R1 side. So let's say that in this case, of course, I don't have a traffic generator, but I can just go with an extended ping. So that's going to be okay. So ping IP, name of the BRF is global, target IP address is going to be 6666, let's say. Repeat count is going to be 1000 or 10,000 times. TTL, that's okay. Let's say 10, because I am just over 100, whatever. A time interval in seconds is going to be 1, but you can go down to 0.2. So if I just say 0, it will say, okay, you cannot really go to 0, you can go to 200 milliseconds. So I'm going to just say 0.2, and then the datagram size, I'm going to increase the amount. Then the timeout in seconds, I'm going to say 0. Deadline, that's okay. Extended, yes. The source interface is going to be 1111. Actually, I'm using my loopback. And then the rest of them is going to be no. Okay, and the traffic is being generated. Now on router 2, I have two different policy maps. So if I just say show policy maps, and just hit enter, you can see that there are two policy maps. One of them is mark, one of them is police that I have just created. And of course there are some default ones that I don't really care. So these two are going to be important. So let's just check the statistics. So I'm going to say do show policy map. Well, the first one, the input one. So that's going to be policy map interface xe4.151, and after that type QoS statistics, or statistics type QoS, of course. The statistics type QoS, and hit enter. This is going to tell us that we have received this amount of traffic from here, and these are the matched bytes, which means that the traffic has changed to what we really need to. So if I just say statistics, not the statistics actually, just go with this, and after that we can have hit enter. You can see that matched traffics have been done, and we have the SCP CS1 matched in here. What about the output one? So I'm going to go with the policy map which is matched with this one. Here the police one does not have any matching. That is because we could not really generate the amount of traffic that could, go out with this speed, and everything was below the amount of traffic that we just wanted. Now if I just go with this command, show policy map interface, this is going to tell us that you can see this is the class map that we have in here, and the type of traffic queuing is subinterface default output policy. This is for queuing, of course, but for egress policy we are using police, and the CIR of course is at 10% here. But like I said, because the amount of traffic that I have generated does not reach to 1%, so there is not going to be any drop, there is not going to be any problem with that. Again, if I just go with the statistics, you're going to say that none of them have been matched and none of them have been dropped in this case. The other command beside this, which I'm going to check, is this one. Show hardware discard counters. Hit enter. That's going to give us some important counters. Specifically the ones that are going to be important for us in case you see them is going to be IQMQ, and because I don't have it, this means that I have not dropped anything. And also one of them is going to be EGQ PQP, and again we don't have these in here, and that would say that how much of the traffic has been discarded in our case. Okay, so with this, this task is going to be accomplished, and I hope this has been informative for you, and see you in next videos.